Alright, what's going on today in the shop? We are painting. We've been painting a lot. We have a RGV250. We're doing a full Taiga body kit on. I already painted it white. Actually, I already painted it twice. Stuff I was using came out blue, and so had to redo it. But we got past that, painted all white, gloss. Got our two-stage paint done. It's a urethane based white and a clear coat, both. Actually, here, I'll show you. Let's see. So this is what I use for clear. It is from Speedo Coat. It works fantastic. I started using it a while ago. A bit of a step up from their Speedo line clear, which I have also used. Speedo line clear is a little cheaper. It's a 4-to-1 clear. I found it actually works really well, but somebody turned me on to this clear. It's a glamour clear. Instead of a 4-to-1, it's a 2-to-1, so you have a lot more actual clear in there, and it works really well. A little bit of a more gloss rating to it. For white, anything that's white, I typically, if I'm going to spray the whole thing, I'm not trying to match anything, then I use this Restoration Shop urethane base, classic white. You can put that under any, pearl, any white pearl. It works really well. If you're trying to match something though, then obviously you're not gonna use this unless you can tint it somehow. I can't tint anything. I don't have the equipment. I don't have a big mixing. This is just do it yourself in my little homemade paint booth, so I'm not going to be able to really match stuff too well unless I can add a little bit here or there. But honestly, if I have to match something, I take apart to the body shop and get them to scan it with their camera, and then they mix me up the best factory match, usually depends on the line, I guess. This stuff here, for example, was mixed up for me, ended up being a Toyota color, and it worked out really well. Other stuff I've tried to match, RS motorbike paint. It's pretty good. They have some of the weird odd stuff. Colorite is fantastic as well, but I found RS bike paint has more of the odd things that if Colorite doesn't have it, maybe RS bike paint does. And they are overseas, but surprisingly enough, it comes UPS in just a couple days, so really doesn't take any longer to ship than it does from Colorite, and to be honest, a little bit cheaper. And so kind of like RS bike paint. All right, so what are we doing today? This is what we're using. RS motorbike paint, Suzuki red, ready to spray. What we have to do is make this full body kit look like this. And so it's already white. What I need to do today is spray the red. And I don't have a picture of the front, but the front has a red circle on it. And then the thing about the Lucky Strike paint job is this big circle that they try to make here around the tail of the tank and the mids. And so that's what we have to do today, just with the red. The plan is for me to paint the white and red. White's already done, so I need to tape off the red and paint these 4 pieces that have red on it, and then deliver it back to the bike shop where they will apply the decals. So they're gonna have decals like this one, for the side, and they'll put all the Suzuki and the black and gold, all that stuff's going to go on with custom printed vinyl. But the red and the white is all me, and so that's our job today. So the first thing we do, this was nice and shiny about 20 minutes ago until I sanded it down. Clear coat can be sanded with 600 grit, and you can get out any dust, any imperfections with your 600 grit. Then it's ready to spray whatever you want to spray on top of it. So in this case, I'm going to try and tape off a line here that goes across and has that little arch to try and somewhat mimic this one to a degree. This one actually was done kind of wrong because it's a straight line here. We want to make a curve that, you know, builds this circle here. So we're just using this as a reference, but ours is going to have a little bit of a curve in it. Now that it's all sanded down with 600 grit, we're going to put our curve here, tape it off, and spray the front half of it red. We'll do as many coats as we need until we get a nice deep red. We'll count the number of coats that we do, just in case I don't do everything at the same time. Sometimes I like to just kind of do one part at a time because my booth is small, but we'll see how it goes. I may just sand it all down and try and tape it all off and then spray all the red at one time. That's really the way you should do it, but you know, again, sometimes I do one or two pieces at a time, and it makes me feel like I'm getting more done. If I sit here and sand everything out, it's going to take me, you know, quite a bit of time to sand. I just, you know, it took me probably 20 minutes to sand this piece, and then, you know, there's 4 other pieces in there that need to be sanded down, or 3 other pieces. Everything gets red on it except for the fender. So I'll pull the fender out and really just focus on these. But again, like, if you don't tape it all off 100%, cover it with paper, and then you start spraying a bunch of red, you can get overspray. And so we got to be really careful about how much dust goes into the air in the paint booth. If anything's not covered, it's going to get red on it, and then if you're not really careful, you might miss it. Right? I clear everything between colors, which if you're in a production shop, they're not going to do that. You know, they're gonna probably do an intercoat clear between. You could tape on the intercoat clear. You can do your next color, and that's great, and it saves you money and it saves you time. But I know that I'm gonna end up getting a little bit of red on the white, and if it's cleared first, then I can wipe that off with even a lacquer thinner, because the clear is that solid. The lacquer thinner doesn't hurt it. And it will take any kind of overspray, anything, right off immediately without any hassle at all. So that's why I clear coat everything. It slows me way down, obviously, because, you know, I sprayed all of this stuff yesterday. It's sat overnight now, so it's good and hard. I can sand on it, and then that sanded layer, the 600 grit, is going to allow me to spray on top of that, and it'll adhere mechanically. Because I'm outside of that respray window at this point. You have, most cases, 24 hours to add your next layer if you're talking about clear coat. But I wait until, you know, I'm a good 15 to 20 hours in at a minimum before I really start messing with it again. So now it's been a full day. Actually, it's been 24 hours, and so I'll just sand it down. It's ready to be taped on, and then I don't have to worry about anything. So that's it. I'm gonna get to taping and then start spraying. Okay, here's a little tip for you. Trying to get a straight line across the back. And so, coincidentally, this tape here, whatever it is, 1.25 inch, I don't know, 1.5 inches. I laid it, well, I actually put my blue line down first, but I want to make sure it was perfectly straight, so I put this on there, and it just so happened that I was just about the width of the tape between the end of the tail and here. So this helps me to make sure that I am perfectly straight all the way across, and it gives me a good depth indicator. Now, the curves are pretty tricky to try and get the same curve on both sides, but you can't ever see both sides at the same time. What you can do though is figure out where they need to land. So you can measure, you can do one side, and then you can measure the distance from here and here, and then you go the same distance on the other side, put a piece of tape across, and then make sure that you land in the same spot. So that helps. You just got to make sure that you are, or try and get your curve close as possible. So this looks pretty good. I think I may have, well, so you can stare at this thing. This is what I end up doing. I stare at this stuff 1,000 times, waste a bunch of time, and you know, either and half the time I end up worse than where I was when I, you know, just did it the first time and roll with it. So what I'm looking at is the top of the curve. You know, I want a nice arch through the whole thing. And let's take a look at this one again. See, I feel like no, I feel like I might have a straight spot in this one. Maybe from here to here, this is too straight. You know, it's not, I don't have the same nice arch that I have on this side. Although you got all these angles playing with you, because this falls back a little bit, and so from different angles it's going to look different. Try and capture it. Yeah, I think that looks a little too straight. I'm going to try it one more time. Okay, I redid it 5 or 6 times, and I like it. I think we have a nice curve. It sits pretty much like that on the bike. It's not perfectly flat, but that's kind of what we're looking for. Come down here, sort of semicircle-ish, and then let's try to do it on this side, you know. All right, kind of hard to hold stuff and talk and show you what I'm doing, but I'm gonna give it a try. So that's it. I think they both look really super good now. Take a look at it one more time. Kind of arching curve there, and we're straight on the back, and we got an arching curve there. All right, I think we're gonna send it. Next piece. The front end here, the upper, has been all sanded down, looking good. Had a little bit of dust. I even had one tiny little run over here that I had to sand out, but that's the nice thing about clear. You can get rid of that stuff. You can sand your runs flat. You can even cut them with a razor blade first and then sand them. And when you clear coat over top of it again, it's like it's never there. So what I'm doing now, there has to be sort of a roundish red spot on the front here. And so it goes right here from outside of this bolt hole, and it comes down here underneath the chin and then back up. And so to start with, I just kind of extended, made straight lines here, used my tape to make a straight line from this edge down, and then I did the same thing over here. Go perfectly aligned with the edge, make a straight line, and that tells me where I need to end on each side. So the line's going to come curve, 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 and then clip this edge, come straight across the bottom, clip this edge, and come back up. Now ideally we do this with one piece of tape. Why do we do it with one piece of tape? Because every time you overlap edges, you're going to see it. If you overlap a ledge on the bottom here, and then somebody is going to look up underneath here someday, you know, it's a show bike or someone's just being really nosy, I don't know, and you'll see that little tiny imperfection. And so one piece of tape is the ticket. And what's nice about this paint job, every single part that gets taped off can be done with one piece of tape. Now, are there going to be times where you have to do a complete circle and overlap something? Sure, I'm sure there will be. If you can do that with a vinyl decal and you cut it out with a plotter, I use a Cricut machine of all things, it works great. And then you use a removable vinyl, cut your circle, put the vinyl down, paint it, peel the vinyl back up. Is it as easy as that? No. Some things are going to happen sometimes. It's not going to peel up right. You're going to have sticky residue on the bottom. There's ways to deal with all that stuff. If you absolutely do end up overlapping tape and you get a little imperfection, another tip I can give you is to fix the imperfection with an X-Acto knife. Another reason why I put a layer of clear coat between colors. You can overlap, you get a little issue, overspray, whatever. You can scrape it off with a razor knife or a X-Acto knife. And, you know, little sandpaper, if you scratch it too much, when you clear coat over top of it, you never see it. It looks perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect paint job. And believe me, I am not an expert painter by any means, but I've learned a couple of these little tricks. Hopefully it helps you guys trying to do it yourself. And, you know, again, even the perfect painters, the guys that put out the best paint jobs in the world, there are mistakes in that paint job, and they know how to fix those mistakes so where you don't see them. All right, so even if there's a run, you know, there's a good chance there was a run, there's dust in it, there's something in it, they're either going to buff that out, they're going to sand it down, they're going to flow coat it, they're going to scrape stuff off. You know, there's no such thing as a perfect paint job. It's all about how you fix your mistakes and how it looks in the end. So for right now though, we're going to try and avoid mistakes, and we're going to try and do that with one piece of tape so that we don't have any overlaps and no overspray. And let's see how it goes. So my phone died and I couldn't show you all the steps to the rest of this tape off, but I did get most of it done here. So take a look. There is the final result of taping off the front. That came out pretty good. Quick look at the bottom, nice and straight. And then I will tell you that the tank was a lot of work. And you know, none of this stuff is necessarily hard. It's just when you're trying to get it even and you're dealing with curves and you're doing it by hand, it becomes really difficult and you end up going over it many times. But like I was showing before, you can lay down tape and, you know, guide you, put down straight lines, find references, find your start and end point, try and line things up, and you have a much better shot at it. So I think this came out really good. The only thing left to tape up is the one piece lower. It's upside down right now. It's hard to tell what's going on, but that right there is where it meets up with the upper. And I'm trying to film it upside down so it actually, maybe it'll look right side up in the video. But the trickiest thing to do here is to find where my line has to start. I think it's about here, based on some of the pictures that I've seen. And the arch has to go this way. The idea is that it picks up where this one leaves off on the tank. And there is a little gap between the bottom of the tank. You have a frame rail that goes here. And so the real trick is to find this line and where does it pick up on the upper so that you get an even curve, or I'm sorry, on the lower, all the way from the tank onto the lower and around. And so, like I said, without having it on the bike, it's probably impossible to get it perfect, but I'm gonna look at a lot of pictures and see if I can't find the right reference point, and then we're gonna tape off this. And so very little red on here, aside from the big circular graphic that goes right in here somewhere. The only thing I'm going to be painting, unless we go back and decide to paint the red circle, which I don't think we are. I think we're going to use a decal for that. But I'm going to try and paint this, which will go from here in an arch here to make up the rest of the circle. So that's it for today. I ran out of time. I spent probably 3 hours masking, and so had to get back in the house. And you know, I checked the time at after that, you know, went inside, found out that it was 8 o'clock at night, and so had to call it quits and eat dinner. But that's what happens, you know, when you work out of your garage and lose track of time. So I'll come back and maybe work on this a little bit tomorrow. Try to get that last piece sanded down and taped off, and then we can spray some red. So it'll just be everywhere that's exposed will be all red. So this piece here, almost all of it is red, even though I already painted it white. And you know, that's fine. The part that's masked off will stay white. Everything else will be red. And then we'll just do the little, almost like wingtips there, that semicircle. And everything else will be masked off on that one. And once that's dry, we'll do another layer of clear. And then probably hand it off to the vinyl guys to do the rest of the graphics. I suspect we will have the vinyl guys do the graphics, and then it'll come back here to clear coat over the graphics after they're done. So lots of steps and stages, but one thing at a time, and I got 3 out of 4 masked off tonight, so good progress, and I'm really happy with how even everything came out. Again, that is really the hardest part, is just getting it perfect. And when you're a perfectionist like me, stuff will drive you nuts. And it's hard to deal with little imperfections. But, you know, so you just do the best you can until it looks perfect. And then just kind of accept what isn't afterwards, if you have to. But that's all for now. We'll make another one later. Bye, guys.